Hi, this is Grab and Go Advice. I'm out here today at Lake Erie. Just wanted to show you some of the pretty things about it. Of course, it's beautiful. From any place I've ever gone to look at Lake Erie, it's beautiful. But there's also a lot of wildlife that's around Lake Erie. They call Lake Erie home for them. I think it's just such a peaceful place to be. It's been cold here for several days, so you can see ice has formed on the rocks. These rocks right here are very important. A lot of the homes, as you see in the background, that are built on the lake. And by the way, speaking of homes, they have some beautiful mansions. And this is their backyard for them, the lake. But the purpose of the rocks is to help stop erosion. As you can see right in through here, in this little area, there aren't any rocks. So where that tree is up there, that is likely to fall into the lake, and all of that because the water does actually go up and cover this. At times the lake gets really high, and the water, the reason that you see that in through there is because water has gone up that high. And so water gets in there and it destroys the dirt going in there, and it tends to cave inward. A few years ago there was a little boy, I think he was 13 years old, and he was walking out up there on land, and he got too close, and he was standing actually on the ground, not knowing that underneath here it was caved inward from erosion. So he fell into Lake Erie, and they actually had a rescue. It didn't happen here where I'm pointing at, I'm just saying it happened. So what they do to try to help save homes on Lake Erie, and it costs a fortune. I think it can cost like $70,000, $80,000 up to $100,000, and that's for so many feet of rocks to be put down. It's expensive. I was looking at one home for sale on Lake Erie, and the home didn't have any of these rocks here. The home was caved out like that around the entire back. So it was a beautiful house. It actually had an in-ground swimming pool, and it had a guest house in the back, a 2-bedroom guest house with a full kitchen. And I thought, this is crazy. The price is just so affordable. And what happens, the realtor took us out there, and we looked at the bottom down there where you see rocks over here. There weren't any. The whole thing was just, from the backyard down, it was just dirt, and it had caved in, and there were literally 2 oak trees laying in the water underneath. And she told us that to fix the rocks on that home would at least cost about $200,000. Now, I was over here the other day videoing, and this entire thing I'm standing on right here was covered in water. Today you see some ice, but this whole thing was covered in water, and the waves were literally lapping up and over these rocks here. So these are some apartments, and the rocks right here, the people, I guess, who own the apartments, they put some rocks down and through here to try to stop the erosion from occurring right there on the land. And the rocks are way back here from the water, which is over there. So it shows you that with tide and everything, it covers up, the tide comes over this dock up here, and it laps over, hitting on top of those rocks. The other day it was crashing over those rocks. And you can see some debris right here that the ocean has brought up, some driftwood. So that's just to give you an idea of the kind of tides that they have here that can bring that up. And then walking back over here, I'm going to show you the ice that is formed on the area that I'm walking on, which I'm walking on the concrete. It's pretty dry. But all of that right there is ice over there. So if someone's out here walking, or if they have a child could very easily slip and go right off into the ocean. The water is freezing this time of year. Way in the past, right back there, right over there, that's downtown Cleveland, Ohio. That's as far as I can zoom in, but that right there is Cleveland. Right back there in the background. Right past that, right past those trees. You can't really see it from here very well, but behind those little trees coming out, that's Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns have a stadium that's actually comes out around the water. It's pretty. But this is just a beautiful day at Lake Erie. I just wanted to share that with my viewers. Lake Erie, if you don't live in Ohio, it's actually a good place to consider for a summer vacation, especially if you come to Cleveland. You have the Rock and Roll Music Hall of Fame. There's I believe it's a John Glenn Science Center. A hands-on museum like for children, which is neat. One of the largest things that I like, other than Lake Erie itself, are the plays that they have here. They have something downtown, it's called Playhouse Square. And in Playhouse Square they usually have several plays or musicals going at one time. Some of them are Broadway plays. I just saw one the other day.
What is way over there?
It's the second one I've seen, actually. This is just beautiful. Another thing that's fun to do downtown Cleveland is the dinner cruises. They have dinner cruises that go out on the lake, like a sunset dinner cruise. I'm not sure if they do them at lunch, but they have the sunset dinner cruises, which I prefer. And on one of the ones we did, they have live music so you can dance. They have a food buffet. And you don't have to stay exactly where you're seated. You can kind of move about freely and do different things. You can go up on the top deck and just look at the sunset or whatever, the city. And then they also have another little fun cruise, and what they had on it the last time I went, so they had popcorn, sodas on this one, and it was just an open boat tour, and it actually went up through the Cayuga River, which is downtown. So it went out into the Great Lakes, and it turned around and it went through the river, which took you through the city. And they told you a lot about the history of the city of Cleveland. You actually got to see the how they do some of their commerce here, like with sand and dirt and things like that. and how they're picked up by large trucks. And taken out, and there's a lot of trains in Cleveland, so it's a great place for people in that line of work. Alright, and again, this right here is all ice. You would not want to be out on that. If you find my other video, you'll see where the water was coming up over all this the other day. Alright, this is Grab and Go Advice, just telling you that Cleveland is a wonderful city for a family vacation. It's best to come in the summer. If you come too early in the spring, the boat tours aren't open yet and the water's really too cold to get in. The summertime, the water here could get up to like 80 degrees. So summer is a wonderful time to come. It's like in the 70s up to around the 80s, low 80s in temperature for water. It's a great place to fish. It used to, I'm not sure if it still does, but it used to be one of the largest fishing areas in the U.S. for commercial fishing at one time. And that's coming from what my husband told me. I'm not absolutely 100% certain, but he loves to fish, so I don't think he would steer me wrong there. And he told me it's one of the largest lakes in the world. Not just in the U.S., but in the world. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you don't have a family, if it's just you, there's a lot of nightlife here. There's still a lot of fun things to do. People up here are super friendly. So whatever brings you to Cleveland, get out and enjoy it. It's a beautiful city. This is Grab and Go Advice. Spread peace, love, is always happiness.